So joining me now by popular demand is my good real life friend and I guess new educational muckraker, Lise Merle from Regina. You may remember her, of course, as the mom who was slapped with $30,000 in paywall fees to get access to information about what was being taught to her children about gender theory, but also what was being said about her family by bureaucrats and teachers in one little tiny school system alone. So I'm bringing you back on, Lise, because I want to talk about if there are any updates to your story, because after we did your story, it sort of ended up in all kinds of other places. Western Standard picked it up, a few other places picked it up, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy for the world to get to know you the way I do, because I think they're going to love you just as much as I do. But also there is an election coming up in Saskatchewan, and parents' rights are really on the ballot.
Yes.
And there is a legal challenge coming up in Saskatchewan to the Parents' Bill of Rights. And one thing we wanted to talk about, we just decided we wanted to talk about it because we were talking about it before we hit record, and that was the re-education gulag that Alberta MLA Jennifer Johnston is being subjected to here in Alberta. And that is, I guess, her highway back into the United Conservative Caucus. So lots to talk about. Oh, and also you're running for school board. So we'll talk about how that's being received by the activists on the left.
But first,
update. Do you have any records? Have you appealed? Are you able to appeal? Have you told them, I don't need your photocopies? Maybe put it on a flash drive and send it to me. Tell me what's going on.
Well, hello, my darling Sheila Gunn Reid, and hello again, Rebel Sam. I'm so happy to be here again today, talking about all of these juicy things happening in our political ecosystem in Canada. And I guess the short story is the privacy commissioner is now sort of slapping Regina Public Schools with because they sort of denied me in a way. They were really late in getting that fee estimate to me. They're dragging their heels. And in a way that they, in their way, they've declined to supply the records that I asked for. So that's number one. The campaign is going amazing. My plan, my clever plan to trick the left into doing all of my heavy lifting for me has worked in spectacular. And here's the thing, because we are keen observers of how all of this works in Canada right now, how the left operates, their activist confirmation loops and the things that they do. Well, I might just be the most famous school board trustee candidate in Saskatchewan right now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, radical activist leftists, for that. And it's working, because let me tell you a little story. I'm showing up on doorsteps in Northwest Regina, which is where I was born and raised. And the reason why I'm so scrappy is because I was raised in North Regina. But I'm showing up on doorsteps and I'm, knocking on the door and saying, hi, my name is Lise Merle and I'm running for Regina Public School trustee. And this one lady goes, I've heard about you on Twitter. And I just braced myself like against her door jamb. I was like, oh God. And she goes, no, I'm voting for you. I mean, that you've got the left this upset and that you are taking them on. You are the exact person that we need at Regina Public Schools. And I went, so it couldn't be going better. I've received so much positive feedback from people saying, like, just enough of this, because increasingly every day, thousands and thousands of Canadians are opening their eyes and realizing just how far we've fallen down this crazy rabbit hole of madness. And we'll talk about Jennifer Johnston a little bit later, and that's exactly part of it. But there is a real thirst for people to hear the truth, and I believe that fortune favors the brave. And we have, like, as it pertains to Regina Public Schools, we just have a lot of heavy lifting to do over there, because what we have right now is a board that ran only because the previous board declined to participate in Pride. The previous board said, right, this doesn't really add to any of the educational outcomes for our kids, and it doesn't represent all of the all of the families that send their kids to our school, so we're just going to decline. Well, the activist classes went nuts. They built a slate of candidates, and they all got voted in 2020, which was just around the time that COVID was hitting its was beginning, I guess. And these people, I mean, they are vapid, vicious activists that have one focus, and that is the promotion of pride, the promotion of LGBTQIA issues. They run under this banner of safety when nothing could be further from the truth. No parent has asked for this. This was delivered to our kids without our knowledge or consent, and we are just done. We are just done. So couldn't be going better. Couldn't be going better. I'm receiving love every single day for taking the stance I am, and it's my hope to just to really inspire people to be brave in this moment and to be unafraid to confront these things that have taken over our society.
Now,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about your so-called controversial platform, because if you look at what the left-wing union types are saying about you on social media, you are some kind of Medusa. And I know that not to be true. I think you're running on just a common sense platform of parental consent and letting the little ones be innocent as long as possible.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So my platform involves, well, basically promoting the idea that parents have the charter protected right to education. Parents have the right to determine all aspects of their children's education, not activists, not school administrators, not school boards. Parents have the right to determine all aspects of their children's education. I want our children to be excellent, and this is a staggering statistic, but Saskatchewan students right now place second last in the nation in math and third last in the nation in literacy. And there's a good reason for that. It's because political activism has been allowed to run roughshod over academic achievement. And there is no excuse for this. Kids in Saskatchewan are amongst the brightest and most innovative and the most resilient. You can't live in Saskatchewan and be a snowflake, okay? It's practically illegal. And yet our kids are underperforming on an academic scale that is quite literally staggering. When our kids are graduating from high school, they're unable to compete with kids from Alberta who places consistently in the top 4. The reason kids in Alberta do so well is because you have parents' choice, a parental choice in education, whereas in Saskatchewan, we're just sort of lumped into whatever school is closest to your house. And for many families, that doesn't serve their children. So, I want to get back to basics. I want our kids to be really, really strong achievers in, math and writing and reading and science, and to really promote levels of social cohesion and conflict resolution and all of the things that were taken from our kids through COVID. We have a generation of kids that have been just really, really set back by that time, and they are in a state of recovery right now, and they need every support to learn how to be productive and successful members of society. And if that makes me an extremist, well then extreme me all day, girlfriend, because I mean what the left is doing is just so predictable and sad.
Yeah, what would those childless self-sterilized moms know about education, as opposed to a mom of 6? They treat you like you're not the expert and they're the expert, and it's like you parented your cat all day.
True story, Sheila. I've given Regina Public Schools possibly more kids than 98%. Okay, we'll say 98% of parents in Saskatchewan. Okay, I have 6 kids. My 2 oldest kids are hyper overachievers. My 4 youngest kids lining up to be hyper overachievers. I must be doing something right. And yet they would denigrate me and call me all the names. But here's the thing. I do believe that Canadians are waking up to all of these dog whistles from the left. And anytime you hear the word extremist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, people understand that is it's a baseless attack because they're scared. And you know what? They should be. They should
It's
be.
really, it's the new form of shut up. And I'm glad you brought up the diversity
Oh yeah.
of the Alberta school system here, because the left in Alberta wants to change it. They want to shoehorn Alberta kids into these cookie cutter schools that are just indoctrination factories. We have
Mhm.
a fully funded religious system, we have a fully funded charter system, and we have a well-funded private school system where the statistics show, thanks to our friends at the Fraser Institute, the people utilizing the private system are usually under the average Alberta income. Why? Because the funding follows the child. So there are no socioeconomic barriers for
That's right.
parents to seek out private education for their kids. It alleviates all of that. So all of those
The financial
criticisms,
stressors. Yes.
and,
Yes.
and the criticisms the left says, oh, private school is only for the wealthy. Not in Alberta, but they'd love to change that. So I'm glad that you have looked at that and want to bring some of that good thinking from Alberta into Saskatchewan.
No, really, we are Saskatchewan education is in crisis. I hear it day after day on every doorstep. Basically what people are saying is what we are doing right now is not working. It is failing the kids, it is failing the families, it is failing the teachers, it is failing everybody. So we have to be willing to take a real good, long, hard look at what we can do to create seismic change within our education system, because we literally can't fall any lower than we are right now, and we must be willing to be able to at least consider these concepts so that our kids will have at least a fighting chance when they leave school.
It's the news event of the year. Canada's most controversial premier sits down with Canada's most controversial journalist, and everything is on the table. Come watch Ezra Levant one-on-one with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith in front of a live studio audience in Calgary. Nothing's off limits. Nothing's held back. Questions that would make Justin Trudeau invoke martial law. Answers that will make Stephen Guilbeault pee his pants. You're not going to want to miss this one. But you have to be there, in person, at the Rebel News Live mega conference in Calgary on October the 5th. Tickets are limited, so drop everything and go to rebelnewslive.com right now. Special discounted prices for Patriots and special extra high prices if you're with the CBC. Go to rebelnewslive.com now.